Last year, the Chicago Bears made us a promise. Not with a press release, not with a slogan. They made it on the football field. And for the first time in a long time, they played like a team worthy of our devotion. They fought, they drew, and they gave us something we've been starved for. Hope. And believe me, Bears fans, we know betrayal. We've been told to wait until next year so many times that it's become a curse. Every time we've climbed a step, someone has been there to kick the ladder out from underneath us. But not this time. This team isn't supposed to be starting over. They're supposed to be taking the next step. Step 2. We are past the time of excuses and learning experiences and moral victories, and this city does not hang banners for potential. We want results. We want January football, and we want opponents to walk into Soldier Field knowing they're in for a fight that they can't possibly win. The promise has been made, and now it's time to keep it.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, snap! Here we go! Bare their souls, bare their souls. Sports, movies, music, and food. Bare their souls, bare their souls. Sim, Fitz, Danikin, just 3 guys being dudes. Danikin brings the facts, drops the mic, thinking fast, says it straight out the gate. Back you down, checkmate. Sim, talking smack, walk it back, fact check. Hot takes, debates, got a strange music taste. Fitz, food reviews, Bears fan, 5 tools, real talk, all true, bleeding navy blue. 3 guys, 1 mind, 3 mics, 1 night. Hot takes, high stakes, barroom debates. Danikin, Sim, Fitz, bring the barroom blitz, let the beer tap flow. This is Bare Their Souls.
That's right, Bears fans. We're back. It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's time for one of the shows of all time about the Chicago Bears. That's right. It's Bare Their Souls. I'm Steven Zimmerman, joined here by my 2 brothers in arms, Danikin and Fitz. Gentlemen, Danikin, how we doing this week? How you feeling this week, my brother?
Man, I'm feeling good. I ate before we came on today, so
Not gonna matter.
hopefully he doesn't throw me into a tailspin with another meal after the show.
We got a good video tonight, man. Not gonna matter.
Fitz, how you doing, man?
Just
You
fine.
ready?
Doing well. Had a beautiful weather in Chicago finally. It feels like summer. No rain for a few days, so it's been great.
Yeah.
I
No
got-
rain, no blazing temperatures. Humidity's actually halfway decent. It's been pretty comfy in the Midwest for once.
Mhm.
It's
And
a
those
nice change of
mornings-
pace.
Yeah, those mornings are a little chilly, starting to feel like fall.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. So I mean I sent you guys a little message. I didn't watch all of the Bears game this week. Heads up, guys, we're gonna be leaning on Danikin and Fitz a whole lot this week. Probably for the best. Let's be real here. No, I got outvoted. I went to watch the second half of the game, and my kids were like, "We want to camp out in the backyard." So I threw up the tent. I set up a movie. It got down to about 60 degrees overnight. Oh man, it was beautiful out there. We could not have picked a better night to do it this summer.
Nice.
Only downside was, dewy in the morning, so kind of wet. You gotta slog through the grass in the backyard, and I normally mow on Sundays, and it was Saturday night. So anyway, it was a whole thing. But hey, it was a blast and a half. The first half was awesome. I really it's really hard to stay invested when Caleb Williams comes out, and then Case Keenum is the next man up. So I don't know about you guys, but I fell off hard. I didn't really – it was hard to stay interested, to be completely honest. I think a lot of us can relate with that one, but it's preseason. That's what it's kind of about. We all kind of know the guys that we're looking at this point as well. And with it only being 3 games in the preseason now, that second game – it seems to be kind of the lull in the preseason at this point, where the first one you're excited to be back, and the third one you're watching to see who's going to make the cut. That second one is just like, yeah, it's on the schedule. So we got tons to talk about around this week 3. We got lots of Bears returning from injury. We got, of course, next week in Nashville against the Titans, Ozzie Trapillo news. I think there's a little bit of that. Not a whole ton, but man, that left tackle situation is rough, and we're going to dig into it. We are joined later on in the show by Julie Sweica Gannon. excellent food critic out of Chicago. She's just released a new website, all kinds of stuff that we're going to talk about there with Fitz on our food review later in the show. And of course, we cannot not talk about the two tragedies that we've endured this week with the losses of Tim Curry and of course Dolly Parton. So we will be discussing those in the latter half of the show, probably with Julie as well if she's still around for that. But in the meantime, let's get started, guys. Ozzy's back. We knew that one to begin with, but boy, that left tackle situation is not super great. I don't really know what kind of hope there is to look forward to. Perhaps we need a new hope of some kind. Help us, Ozzy. You're our only hope. Guys, what do we make of this at this point?
Take it away, Danikin.
Man, we talked a little bit about this on Three Kings of the Midway. We just dropped a show there. Man, it's you just hope that basically at this point in time, because nobody's taking the stranglehold of the left tackle position, which is what I wanted to see in preseason, and obviously nobody's kind of like stepped up and said, hey, this is my job, I've earned it now. They're just kind of like going in there with pieces, and you hope that they don't bleed out while he's getting back to normal, to 100%, right? So you got Ozzy there, and obviously probably he's the guy of the future at that position. And it's great that he's been able to kind of like fast track his way back to the football field right now. But at the end of the day, if he's out for the first few games or so, first few weeks, then you just hope that Braxton Jones or whoever's in there at the time will be able to kind of like put a Band-Aid over the situation. The problem is that you want to protect your quarterback, your possibly billion-dollar quarterback at some point, right? So you want to protect him, but at the same time, you know what I mean? You just got to make do with what's due right now. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, Ben, the press conference where they're asking about that, it's almost, he's as frustrated with that as he is with the Kyler Gordon questions, because he doesn't really have an answer, and he wants to have an answer, and the answer is probably going to be at this point Braxton Jones, just kind of by default, because he gave Kieran Amagaji a chance. He really didn't live up to it.
Right.
So they've moved Theo Benedette around. I think he's been trying out at right tackle with him too, or is he still on the left tackle side? But he really hasn't stepped up. But the one thing that I am hopeful of is, who played left tackle, last year for the first 12 games or so? We really didn't have answers then last year at this time, but they made it work. So if there's anything to go on, it's like they did all right last year without any real answer at left tackle until Ozzy Trapillo came on at the end. But I'd rather have an answer going into Carolina than to try to do some patchwork.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that has been a main point of discussion this entire offseason. A lot of people had high hopes for Jedrick Wills being a former first-round pick. He doesn't even look like he's going to make the team at this point.
Yeah.
Karan Amagaji seems like that was kind of a wasted third-round pick as well. You're now left, like you said, Fitz, Braxton Jones by default, and we're kind of tired of hearing that. It's been about 3 seasons of him winning this job by default because nobody can – I don't even want to say nobody can take it from him, just that the Bears aren't developing well enough at this position. And it's frustrating to me because we've already seen them have to address this entire offensive line through trades or free agency outside of their top 10 draft pick, who you better hit on. So I don't know, man. Like it's a little frustrating to look at. It's got me concerned for the future that, sure, maybe Ozzy Trapillo bounces back 100%. He's an above average, we'll say top 12 left tackle in the league. And then Joe Tooney retires, and now you've got a new hole on your offensive line. And I get that, like, that's the ever-evolving problem of the NFL, right? There's always a gap somewhere that you have to find a way to fill. But, like, I don't know that I trust them to fill that, and that's what they're kind of showing right now. And I don't want to get, too far ahead of ourselves and count our chickens before they hatch here with all that. It's just, it's got me looking forward to the future and wondering, like, how little we've seen guys over the last few years kind of step forward and take a role. It makes me curious. Now, on the flip side of that, flipping over to the defense real quick.
Wait. Before we go on, can I say one thing about that?
Yes.
Here's what you got to think about too. That's a premium position, left tackle, right?
Absolutely.
So when you say that you're not so confident that the Bears can fill these spots if one opens up, they did it with Joe Tooney. They did it with drafting Logan, right, for his backup position, right? He'll take over that position at some point. They did it when they signed the guy who retired. I'm drawing a blank on the name right now. He retired. Drew Dahlman. They did it where, right? So they were filling holes. That's what they were doing. But at the same time, you do have injuries that happen. And Ozzy Trapillo is a guy that you can plug in there. I have confidence that they will fill these positions because they've been doing it. And they brought in 3 new guys, and they were all really good contributors last year to the offensive line. And then you got Darnell Wright, who you drafted. So you have 4 positions. That one position, let's be honest, they remade this entire offensive line in a matter of 2 or 3 years. So you're not going to be able to, for the most part, they've done it. You just have an injury here, and you got to deal with that injury. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, you make great points. You talked me down to the point where I'm willing to bring up the conversation I was going to a little later down the line. I do think it's something we're going to touch on. Hey, we might save it for next week too, but I promise you this is a conversation we're going to have when I flip it around to the defense, because Jalen Johnson has been doing some great things, honestly, and it's not just his play. So I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to address that with everybody and just let it linger for a moment. And now we're going to move on because, guys, we did just have a preseason game. There's going to be another one. We got guys fighting for roster spots. They have to have their 53-man roster. It sounds like, they're basically going to send everybody home after this game. There's going to be a light practice on Sunday, I think. And then Monday, it's a boarded up room where they're making roster decisions all day long. We no longer have these 2 tiers of cuts in the NFL where, you cut it down a little bit. You cut down to like your 70-man roster and then your 53-man roster. Maybe it was a 75 and then a 53, but you get my point. No longer. You are now from a 90-man roster down to a 53-man roster, and that's it. Now, the good news for the Bears is last week against Cincinnati, they only suited up about 60 guys. So a lot of these decisions are being made for them, either through injury or through guys who are just locks to make the team, i.e. Luther Burden, Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze, et cetera, et cetera. Now, without getting too into the 53-man roster, because I don't want to drag this out all night, and it's really easy to do with a 53-man roster position, or with a 53-man position by position roster breakdown. Is what I'm trying to get at here. Guys, who are some fringe guys that you're looking at right now that you kind of want to see in this last game that you think, like, with a good game, he might make the roster, or, hey, this guy, I need to see somebody get him off this team?
Man. I mean, that's a great question. That's a great question. I'm at the point where I'm looking at it like the Bears, in my opinion. I think they, like, these cuts will come hot and heavy, of course, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of conversation that has to be had with certain spots. There's a lot of guys that just won't make the roster. You know what I mean? I would say of the 90 guys that they have still there or whatever, and they got to get down to 53 or whatever, of that, you might drop down 30 guys right now. You know what I mean? I don't see there being several positions available right now. And at the end of the day, I think some of the biggest things is these guys who are on the bubble, who are maybe in the last year of the contract. Guys like Kyron Amagachi, right? Is he gonna, You know, are you going to keep him? Are you really going to keep him, or what are they going to do? Is he going to show something out there to say, okay, let's keep him. He can be a swing tackle. He'll be a backup. He'll be a depth piece, or whatever the case may be. Those are the types of positions that I'm looking at right now, in my opinion. But I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of discussion, and that's the good thing when it comes to a Bears roster right now, right? Before there were question marks everywhere because nobody was head and shoulders above anybody. Now we have a legitimate team. We have a team that has playmakers and players on the squad. So at the end of the day, I think that the good thing about it is that your roster is pretty much set. You may have a couple of pieces here and there that you might have to switch around, and that goes into like special teamers and stuff like that, which is the good teams in the NFL. This is what they have to deal with, right? They just get rid of a bunch of guys, right? So I think it's about 30 guys that would just be, they're already off the team, really, in essence. And I hate to say that, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just being honest. Like I just don't think they're the caliber player that we need on the Bears team, because we are a good team at this point.
That's a good way to put it, because it just hasn't been as intriguing this year, I think, because there's so many solidified spots.
Mm-hmm.
You got Caden Davis. He's kind of like a fan favorite of trying to make the team. Who's the running back? Was it Salvin Ahmed? Is that the running back that people?
Mm-hmm. Ahmed, yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we've got, Saturday morning characters, cartoons kind of, like we're characters that we're thinking of here, but nobody really, of the people we're talking about, are they going to make an impact? Only if there's injuries,
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, Caden Davis seems to be a good story, but do I want him starting against the Packers in, week 6 or 7 or whatever? No. So,
Right.
but I think it's just the result of getting better, having better players all around in solid positions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. No, I mean, the two guys I'm looking at the hardest are both wearing number 27, Dante Manning and Caden Davis. Two guys who I think have an opportunity to make this roster. Caden Davis has been floating around the league for a little bit. So is Dante Manning. No, I guess Dante Manning. I don't know. They've both been there a little while. Regardless, my point being, these guys have been on NFL rosters. They know what's expected. They kind of, I don't know. Again, they're the two guys I'm watching the most. I thought it was interesting that Caden Davis is getting a lot of reps with the ones, and he's starting to get some punt return and kick return looks. That tells me that they're trying to find a spot for him on this roster, right?
Yeah, it's possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you've got a guy like him or a guy like, I want to say like Maurice Alexander, but really these two guys are one and the same. It's who outright wins that battle,
Mm-hmm.
Now you look at these guys versus like a Scotty Miller. I think, Scotty Miller's probably just a camp body at this point. As much as everybody likes his story and everything, he's objectively just not as good as the other guys at this point in his career.
Right.
It's unfortunate, but as you were saying, Danikin, like that's the attrition of the NFL. 30 of these guys are just probably outright done already.
Mm-hmm.
So, you look at some of these are super easy to look at. Miller Moss, like he's going to be on somebody's practice squad somewhere. That's a scout team quarterback, probably for his career, unfortunately.
Right.
Ray McLeod, like he's in his 9th season already. This is his 3rd comeback to the league already. Like, Unfortunately, this might be the end of the line. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. It is kind of nice that the Bears are finally at a spot where it's not that interesting. But we do have one little bit of interesting news with all this roster talk. I pulled up the wrong thing. It's Gervon Dexter being floated around in some trade talks, guys. You look at the numbers on Gervon, and he could be an elite talent. You look at the play of Gervon, and you kind of wonder how you could ever possibly come up to that. And he's such an interesting player. He's a guy I've always liked and always rooted for, but at the same time, he's underwhelmed. But then you look at the stat sheet and you're like, well, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. And there's all kinds of rumors now swirling. There's other teams floating out the idea of a first-round pick for this guy?
I doubt it.
I mean, I sincerely doubt it as well. I'm thinking more like a fourth-round pick. But a lot of the thought is that this could potentially, be part of a larger deal. Fitz, what are you thinking on this?
I'm just wondering if we're being duped again, because there's really
that's my thought too. Yeah,
there hasn't been. We've had the one tweet from Jordan Schultz, was it?
At the combine, yes.
That's it. No one, nothing. There was. We don't know what teams are in talks. There's no skepticism as to what teams are talking. It's come from no one else. So I don't know. It might not be anything. And then Ben Johnson was asked about his play, and he was giving him high praise. So it's like, well, is he just giving him high praise because he's a good player, or is he trying to build up his trade value? You know? So
is this a result of Jordan Vandenberg playing so well that now a guy in the last year of his rookie contract who's shown some production might have his value at an all-time high, and you're trying to leverage that because you have this Jordan Vandenberg in the wings waiting to take his position?
That's very possible. And you hear that Dexter isn't a Dennis Allen type of player.
Correct.
That's it. You know, doesn't have the motor that he wants. It doesn't have the play. So no one ever thought about it until we got that post. And now it's like the talk, just like a week ago when it was the Bears changing their name to the Hammond Bears, So it's like, and the Bears always seem to be in trade talks. Isn't that, when the defensive ends were coming up, it was, the Bears were always at the top of it.
That's how Kalshi makes their money. You float the Bears out there and all of a sudden the odds go that way.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I don't know. I'm sitting back and waiting. If it happens, it happens, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to think about. People talk about Javon Dexter's play on the field and what he's able to do. He's not the greatest against the run. Let's just point that out, right? That's number one. But he does do some things out there. He's got 41 tackles last year. I think 20 some odd of them were solo tackles, and then he had 6 sacks, 5 sacks the year before. And the most important thing to me is that he played 17 games as a rookie, 15 as a second-year player, and 17 in his third year. So he's durable. He's been on the field, and he's been able to produce on the field, right? So when I look at that, 13 and a half sacks for his whole entire career in 3 years, and when we look at, I tell people this all the time, every single year, it seems like I tell the people this. When we're talking about defensive tackle, man, you're talking about John Randall, you're talking about Aaron Donald, and you're comparing guys to those guys. Those are generational players from the defensive tackle position. You do not get 15, 16, 17 sacks and be defensive player of the year from the defensive tackle position. You don't see that often. And just to put it in perspective, I think we talked about this too on Three Kings yesterday. You look at Vita Vea, right? Vita Vea had 4.5 sacks last year. You know what I mean? Dexter Lawrence had 1.5 sacks last year. Now, the difference is those guys control the line of scrimmage, right? They don't get pushback. They block and clog up these holes and things like that. Now, if Javon Dexter can somehow start to do that a little bit better, I don't care about getting off the ball. He's getting 6 sacks. He's getting off the ball quick enough, in my opinion, right?
He's
5 sacks, 6 sacks. Right. He's cleaning up stuff. He's getting he's getting in there and he's mixing it up. Now, what I want him to do is be able to not be pushed back at the line of scrimmage. And I think he's been the one guy consistently who has been able to be up there and do a little bit more damage than anybody else. He's definitely played better than Grady Jarrett. He was definitely better than Andrew Billings last year. So you see what I'm saying? We're talking about getting rid of the guy who was the number one guy on our piece. Now, a lot of this has to do, and I'm just going to be honest with you, in my opinion, a lot of this has to do with the love and the affinity that people have for Jordan Vandenberg. Now, I love him too. I do. but he still has to go out there and produce. I don't care what his motor looks like and things like that in practice or in preseason. In real game time, live action, what's he going to look like? And let's also understand, too, that in most cases, I don't care how much Ben Johnson loves a guy as a rookie, he makes them earn it, right? Even with Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, they didn't get as much burn in the beginning of the year as they were in the end of the year. They had earned it at that point, right? So you see what I'm saying? In my opinion, yeah, Jordan Vandenberg is going to be a good player. I believe he's really good. He's going to be a high motor guy, and he's going to be able to do some things. He'll probably have a better career, you know what I mean, at this point than what Javon Dexter is looking like, even though I'm high on Javon Dexter still as well, right? There's things there that you can see that are good. Can you draw anything else out of it? Can you squeeze a little bit more juice out of it? And that's what I think Dennis Allen's job is going to be, and his defensive line coach and things like that. Those guys have to be able to try to get something out of him. I don't want to just pass the buck and be like, hey, get rid of the guy, because there are tangibles there that can be seen plainly.
Absolutely.
And it's like, okay, what is our coaching staff going to do to get guys out? Because that's what we pride ourselves on at this point in time, because Ben Johnson's a good coach. He's assembled a good coaching staff. Now, if this is a guy that is limited and will never be a guy who can clog up the middle, then we have an issue there. He is 6'5", and I know Dennis Allen likes guys a little bit shorter than that. But he's like 6'5", 326, 327 pounds. That's plenty big enough to be able to do and man the middle and like kind of control the line of scrimmage there. So that's what I want to see him do. If they do trade him, I'm not a big fan of the trade because I don't think the value would be worth it. I'm just saying, if you get a 4th round pick for him, what's that going to do for us? You know what I mean? Like I don't see a 4th round guy coming in and making immediate impact next year, right? So we'd have to wait 3 or 4 years for this to pay off for us instead of letting him see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we move on from him at the end of the year.
And it very well might all just be agent driven to try to drive up his value, in a contract year here. I wouldn't put it past the Bears potentially trade him at the deadline, but that really depends on what the rest of that D line's looking like. And, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not looking to trade him, but it might mean that they have their eyes set on a larger prize as well. That, trading Dexter makes room for them to bring someone else in a sense. Like, I don't know for sure what's going on. I genuinely don't think there's a whole lot to this. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened either.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think Ryan Poles is truly doing what he believes is best for this team. I think he has from day one. And I think he's got a lot of swings and misses and a lot of home runs at the same time. So you just got to trust the process, go along with what Ben and Ryan are building, and hope it yields the results that we all want to see.
Absolutely.
Hey, my last little bit that I've got here that really was relevant this week is we got a whole bunch of guys coming back off of injury. And when I say a whole bunch of guys, like, it is a large number of players. By the way, though, I just want to shout out everybody in the chat room. We've already been live about 30 minutes. Holy cow, it doesn't even feel like it's been that long.
Man, that's crazy.
You guys are lively as heck in there. Keep it going. Keep that chat going. We display them on the screen. We'll talk about good discussion points on the show. And, heck, through this next segment, why don't I even just throw you guys up on the screen here with us, right? This is something that we love to do here at the Barroom because this is, made by fans, made for fans. So you guys join us here. You're on screen with us. Chat it up, chop it up, show us what you got. In the meantime, we're going to talk about some of these injuries that have been coming back because, holy Moses, like a third of this roster was hurt at one point. And now we've got all these guys coming back, starting with Luther Burden, maybe the most important one in my personal opinion. Shamar Turner announced that he'll probably be back in October, which not the worst news, honestly. Speaking of D-line, maybe this is another piece that plays into that Jervon Dexter potential trade. you've only got so many guys to go along this line, and they got a lot of bodies going there. Rumors that Ozzy Trapillo is going to hit IR and not be available before week 5, but in the meantime, goodness, I saved a whole bunch of these and they're eluding me right now. I saw that Jamry Chroma left practice, but wound up coming back. Good news there. Tyson Bagent returned to the field this week. Was traveling with the team. In addition to that, Kyler Gordon traveled with the team to Cincinnati. Make of that what you will. He wasn't on the field for pregame warmups, but he's still with the team. He's still trying to do stuff. Let me keep
Ben
going
said
here.
he's in the
I saw more
building.
guys coming
So-
back. He's in the building. I mean,
He's in the building.
honestly, aside from performing, what can you ask from the guy? Elijah Hicks and Keyshawn Elliott both have sooner than later return dates on them, according to Ben Johnson. And I thought I saw one other big one. Darnell Wright got injured during practice on that same Army hurt last year, but came back the following day. So there's that. I think those are the biggest notes. Luke Newman returning, smaller guy. But yeah, guys, I mean, a whole lot of guys, you know, starting to work their way back. This is, I think, what we expect going into this third week. You know, anybody raising like serious concerns or anybody you guys are excited to see come back?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, all of them.
not really. I mean, nothing major stands out there. It's just, you know, some of the guys that did get hurt, like say a Darnell Wright, him being able to come back the very next day, that bodes well for, you know what I mean, the future. If there was any chance of him being hurt, you know, long term, then they probably would have held him out of practices and things like that. But being able to get back on the field immediately means that it wasn't something serious. And hopefully he doesn't have to be battling through it as he did last year. I mean, because let's be honest, he pretty much played with half an arm last year, right? So, and he was still one of the top 5 at least. I would say top 3 possibly at right tackle. So, you know what I mean, with it battling through an injury. So you gave him credit for that. That's the thing, you know what I mean. You want to come out of preseason and not have major catastrophic injuries. And I think that's the thing that I take from that most importantly.
Yeah, if Darnell Wright were a big league pitcher, he'd be having Tommy John surgery right now and be out for a year. It seems to be one of those things he's probably just going to have to deal with for most of his career. From what they were saying,
I
it's
was
just
surprised he didn't get surgery in the offseason, or did he? I don't remember hearing anything about it.
I don't think he did.
That's a long process. I mean, long process of just, you know, doing nothing with your arm. So yeah, I think we would have heard something about that, but so yeah, I mean, he missed the one game last year and then kept playing on it, right? And he missed the Raiders game and then played the rest of the year on it. So it might just be something that he has to adjust his elbow cast or whatever. But yeah, it as bad as it seemed to start this year with, you know, Kyler Gordon not coming back and playing through it, it hasn't been the worst preseason as far as injuries. You know, we had the Luther Burden. I think they kind of just put him to the side and, you know, make sure he doesn't get hurt. He's ready to go. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it was the worst preseason, but, you know, and I think if you looked at every other team out there, they're probably going through the same thing.
Yeah, completely valid. You know, again, like I said earlier, it's week 3 of preseason. It kind of is what it is at this point. A lot of guys go out. A lot of teams, I should say, keep guys out more precautionary than ever before. It starts to beg the question, at least in my mind, like, is it finally time? I mean, I know it's only been like 5-6 years now. Is it time to cut down from 3 preseason games to 2? Go to that 18-game schedule. Now, if you do an 18-game schedule, I think you got to do 2 bye weeks, but that's a whole other conversation. We'll get into it another time. I'm just throwing it out there that, you know, the preseason feels like it's becoming valued less and less. And these joint practices are where guys are making a lot more evaluations about their players and everything. So you see it, the entire league, I think, had joint practices last week. I don't know that I saw any teams practicing by themselves. And this week it kind of continues. So super interesting, the direction that preseason has been going over the last few years, especially with the CBA limiting more and more how much these guys can work in the offseason. It makes me wonder if maybe that's why some of these injuries are spiking as well. The fact that they're not getting hardened and conditioned in the offseason. But, you know, plenty of that also has to do with the real turf versus fake turf that we talked about a few weeks ago as well. So moving to some non-Bears NFL news. Before we hit our rival report, unless you guys got any last hitters that you want to throw out there, I'll give you guys each the floor. If you got any last thoughts about our Chicago Bears before we move on to the rest of the league.
No, I think I'm good on it.
Love it.
Yeah. Bring on the regular season. Yeah.
I'm so there with you. I don't want to do another one of these preseason games, but at the same time, I mean, shoot, I seem to be the only guy who wants to see Dante Manning make this team, so I'm going to go out there and root for him hard on Saturday. Guys, Shedeur Sanders single-handedly killed the Pro Bowl. Did you see this today?
R.I.P. the Pro Bowl. Yeah, I saw that.
The NFL took one look at this, said Shedeur Sanders. Oh, my God. Are you guys kidding me? We can't do this anymore. We literally can't do it. You ruined it for everyone. You voted in Shedeur. Now nobody gets the Pro Bowl anymore. And by nobody, I mean 88 players will be named Pro Bowlers. There will be no games. There will be no anything of any kind. They will receive the honor, and that will be the beginning, middle, and end of the Pro Bowl. Just a note on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
They're going to have a banquet. I think they're going to have a big dinner for him.
Okay.
Yeah,
they'll have a
bonus for everybody. Yeah.
Browns chicken. You know.
Yeah.
They'll get a chump change bonus that's, more than any of us make in a year.
Yeah.
No, it makes me wonder what led to the death of the Pro Bowl. Was it really people not watching, or was it the NFL making it so inaccessible to the casual fan that it wasn't worth watching? Because I tell you, I used to love the games leading up to the Pro Bowl. When they'd have the guys do the combine, when they do the quarterback challenges, when they do, they had one year where they dropped footballs out of a helicopter to see who could catch it from the highest drop. I loved watching those quirky little games, but as time went on, it went from being on ESPN where you could just watch it to you got to stream it on Hulu Plus or HBO minus because Plus is too much, or you got to watch, you got to get 4 different streaming services. Hey guys, the first quarter of the Pro Bowl is going to be on Peacock, but the second quarter is going to be on Amazon Prime. So make sure you have both so you can watch the whole thing. Like, is the enshittification of the NFL what's causing this, or did people really just not care about the Pro Bowl anymore?
I think all of the major sports are dealing with this right now with all-star games, except for maybe baseball. Baseball seems to be steady. They have the home run derby the night before. They have the all-star game. Enough fans tune in to watch it. They sell out the stadium. Everything's good. But like football and basketball too, they're trying to figure out these ways to find interest in it. And I think the NFL just said, we give up. We're done. We're not going to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. Just hand out a trophy and everybody goes home. As money got more and more into these sports, the players cared less, or they cared more about getting hurt, and so they cared less about the actual game. So the quality went down, the interest went down, and then they tried to come up with new ways to get interest. And the NFL just said, we're done. We gave it a shot. They're giving up on it.
See, the basketball, they've done so many different things to like liven up the All-Star game, right? And really
Chris Paul and Wembanyama got to go do the shit that they pulled a couple years ago. and make a travesty out of some of the stuff too. And like,
Yeah.
it's the same issue that I think they're running into with the NFL. Sorry to interrupt, but continue.
No, it's fine. But that's the thing that, you know, in the NBA they've changed the you know, the quarters, and then they're playing to a 50-point score and all types of different things, right? That they're adding into it. You can't do it with football because it gets too gimmicky, right? It gets too, you know, it gets away from the game of football. Now in basketball, you know, you have guys that can go out there and put on highlight reel dunks that'll keep a little bit of the viewership, or guys that like Steph Curry that'll go out and, you know, they'll go back and forth with Dame Lillard, and they'll both be shooting from half court for, you know, 4 or 5 times down the court. That keeps a little bit of interest. But when you're in the NFL, man, it's such a physical sport that if guys are not out there really playing, it looks bad. It looks ridiculous almost, you know what I mean? Because guys are not putting forth the effort. So when you have that type of situation, and let's be real, there's a lot of guys that have turned down the NFL Pro Bowl because they don't want to run the risk of getting injured. And then you have playoffs.
Sanders wound up there, you know.
It's done in the middle of the playoffs sometimes, right? So there's teams that have, you know, these good teams have several guys that are in there, and that's how Shorter Sanders gets in, or whoever gets in, right? You may have a team that's going to the Super Bowl, and they may have 8 Pro Bowlers on the team. You know what I mean? So you think about, you know, how many people are going to be missing from the game, and then they got to find replacements and so on and so forth. So it is what it is, man. I haven't really watched a Pro Bowl game in, I don't know, 20 years maybe. Like literally, you know what I'm saying?
When
like
they were in Honolulu.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's past its prime, man. You know, back in the day it was decent, but it's way past its prime. And you don't want to see guys get too competitive out there because it is clearly an exhibition game. And you're at the point in the season, too. If a guy has a catastrophic injury in a Pro Bowl game, he misses the entire year. He doesn't have a chance to really come back, right? If let's say a guy tears his ACL out there, right? And something like that happens in February or at the end of January when the Pro Bowl game is taking place, he's out for the entire year and possibly some of the very next year, the year after that as well. So it just doesn't – it's not really worth it in a lot of guys' eyes.
Yeah, not to be old man here, but the NBA All-Star game back in the 80s and early 90s was one of the best basketball games of the year. I mean, it was the quality of play in the All-Star games was incredible. But anyways, I digress. So
no,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just like I say, the overall enshittification of the NFL, and it's bleeding through with other sports as well. And we see it in all aspects of the world. And unfortunately, it's starting to show in entertainment as well. And it's frustrating too, because like it's entertainment at the end of the day. I get that these guys don't want to put their careers at risk, but like they're entertainers. It's the same concept as everybody flaming Justin Timberlake for going on tour when he's got whatever throat condition he had. I don't remember what it was. He had mono or something. So he made the fans sing all the songs. Like to me, it's no different. Like if we're gonna fry musicians for doing stuff like this, if we're gonna fry actors for things like this, why don't we fry athletes for it too? Because they've got to protect their bodies. Well, it's no different. It's no different.
That's vastly different, bro. That's vastly different.
You're getting paid to perform for people. You're getting
Dude,
paid
if
to
you're
put on a performance.
you're getting paid to put on a performance for people, but if you mess up your leg, or I mean, guys, how many times do guys say I'd rather get hit in the head than get hit in the knee?
Yeah, I mean, and I get
because that's their money maker, bro. Like that is like now if you went out there and a performer, Chris Brown or something, and you light the stage on fire and say, okay, perform for us, you know what I mean, and do your dances, then he's not going to want to do that because he's going to run the risk of badly injuring himself, and that's a lot of his money making, right? So he probably wouldn't do it. So when you're talking about a football game, I don't care if they're entertainers or not. At the end of the day, livelihood, and they have a short window comparatively speaking to an actor or a musician who could, sing for 30, 40 years or whatever, right? Or could play the guitar for 50 years, right?
It makes me wonder then, like, do you build in some sort of guarantee into their contracts, specifically surrounding the Pro Bowl. If you get hurt at these Pro Bowl games, your entire contract becomes guaranteed and it doesn't count against the salary cap, so that the team and the player are protected. I understand the can of worms that opens, but like, I feel like there's got to be a better solution than just getting rid of the All-Star game. Like, can you imagine if Major League Baseball got rid of the All-Star game? It would be a national tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, the Midsummer Classic is what we all look forward to every year as far as baseball goes. That is your definer between the first and second half of the season. I think that's kind of what the NBA was trying to do with this in-season tournament that they have, is, creating that defining separation between the first and second half of the season in a way that can emulate the way that the baseball season does, even though it's nowhere close to the halfway point. It's close to the 2/3 point. But the point is, like, I don't know. Every year the home run derby is sold out, standing room only, packed, wall to wall.
Chicks did the long ball, man.
The Savannah Bananas are selling out these stadiums too, under effectively an exhibition tournament style that brings in former All-Stars. Like, there is a way to fix this. I feel like they're just not putting in the resources to fix it because they already own all of the sports world, basically. The NFL is king, right? Preseason games. Here's your fun fact for this season. The NFL Hall of Fame game this year got more viewership than any NHL game last year, including the Stanley Cup Finals.
That's crazy. That's
like,
wild.
The NFL is king.
And especially if you consider what the draft has become in recent years. It's a whole, Thursday through. So it's like they can say, okay, we don't need that Pro Bowl anymore. We've got the draft coming up in a couple months and we'll be fine.
That's where they make all the money now.
You didn't have, after the, you go back 30 years or so after the Pro Bowl, you had nothing until preseason started, really. I mean, the draft was, at a hotel room, but it wasn't the, 4-day extravaganza that it's become now.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it gets
man.
bigger every year too. That's crazy.
There's a better solution than getting rid of it altogether, but I don't know what it is. Because you're right, Danikin. The longer I think about it, like, these guys, they're putting their careers and their bodies in jeopardy. Like, I think about, a concert my buddy went to a few months ago. I saw this band on a Saturday night. He saw them on a Sunday night on 2 separate dates of the tour. Saturday night, the guy was fine. Sunday night, the guy had a sore throat. He stopped his performance 4 songs in so he didn't risk damaging his voice any further. It's the same concept. I completely understand. I'm getting a little overzealous about it because it pisses me off that it's gone. And the reason it's gone is because it has become a laughing stock. So how do you walk it back from that point,
Wait, hold on. You're pissed that it's gone. When was the last time you watched it?
I mean, I watched some of the games this year.
It's already gone.
I mean, I watched it this year. I watched the first year they had dodgeball. I watched. The problem, again, is how hard it's become to watch. I can't just turn on the TV and watch it. I got to go, what channel is it on? What time is it on? Well, okay, so this event's on Thursday, and the flag football game's on Saturday, and then there's an award ceremony on Sunday, but I really want to watch the team relay. That's on Thursday at 4 o'clock live, but it's not actually airing until Friday at 7 o'clock, and it's like...
I've always, like you said before, too, I've liked the games leading up to it, right? The quarterback challenge. I used to love the quarterback challenge. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Awesome.
Those were great, right? But the game itself has always been lackluster, in my opinion. Like I said, I haven't really watched one in 20 plus years, man. Last time I remember thinking and watching one was back in the 90s when Emmitt Smith was making Pro Bowls. You know what I mean? I was a kid then, you know what I mean? 8, 9, 10 years old or whatever,
I mean, I think part of the reason that MLB has been so successful with it is because of the way they've structured it over the last several years, several decades. Sunday is your futures game. Monday is your home run derby. Tuesday is your all-star game. Wednesday is your recovery day. That's it. It's that cut and dry. There's no guessing when anything is. That is your schedule. It's just what week is it? Second week in July? Yeah, that sounds about right. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Two different leagues, two different sports. I mean, I also know that, NBA is usually around Valentine's Day, somewhere between the 14th and the 22nd-ish.
Yeah.
Something to do in the middle of February, right after the Super Bowl, That's where they got their market. But regardless, we've gone on about it long enough. Thanks, Shador, for ruining everything for us. Just going to throw that one back out there one last time. Guys, it's on to the rivalry report. I have so much shit to talk about the Packers this week. I'm just going to roll it. Guys, the biggest news out of our rivalry report this week is we got new uniforms. The whole NFC North is rocking the rivalries uniforms, with our Chicago Bears rocking these beautiful navy and orange jerseys and uniforms. Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift showing them off. Some zesty photos of Caleb Williams are apparently causing a real ruckus on the internet. I don't know what's going on there, guys. Guys, what do you think of these jerseys? They're certainly different. They're very colorful and bright, and not at all what I expected out of these rivalry uniforms.
Yeah, I mean, I like the uniforms. I do like them. They remind me a little bit of Illinois, of course. A lot of people have said that. But you know what I mean? You could see where they were going with it, right? Yeah, there you go. You can see exactly. You can see where they were going with it, right? If you go back to the days of Brian Urlacher and Matt Forte, when they had the orange number 42, they had white pants though, and they had the all blue helmet, right? In my opinion, I like this because it's a little bit of a difference, right? You change it up a little bit. We don't hardly ever see anything but the blue Bears helmet. I like the pants. I would rather have the helmet have been blue myself.
Yeah.
And I'd rather the blue be a darker blue. I'm of the mindset. Remember when the 85 Bears were there? And I hate to, bring up the 85 Bears, and everybody's like, "Oh, nostalgia."
The Bears can't stop living in the past, please.
That 85 Bears, I've always liked that color scheme more because it was a darker. It was like a almost black. You know what I mean? It was what the blue color was, and I like it a little bit darker than the navy blue that they have there. But hey, I like it. It's something a little bit different. It's still classic, and it still brings a little bit of nostalgia, but it also, it's also moving forward too, and changing things up for the Bears a little bit because we don't see it often.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were disappointed because they weren't those white icy that we kept seeing. But remember, this is a rivalry uniform, and you're talking about the NFC North. It makes sense that they went back instead of forward with these things. I'm wearing my Decatur Staley shirt just because of this conversation.
Nice.
So going all the way back to George Halas, when he founded the team, he did these colors because he went to Illinois. And you see the Packers uniform, it kind of goes back too. And Danikin, you're talking about the helmet. The helmet being orange almost gives it that it's the old leather helmet on the head, as opposed to having that blue. It's so I just think they went in reverse when everyone was expecting it to go forward, and it just sort of everyone's mind just sort of went wow. It's like because it wasn't anything what we expected. But I like them, and I think they got it right. As if that's what they were going for, then they got it right.
Yeah, I think they got it right too.
I don't know why we expected anything else. This is a team that's completely entrenched in tradition and history and does not stray from it and will not stray from it as long as George McCaskey's in charge. He is a huge advocate for the history of the league and the team, so much so that he doesn't really care for these out of position numbers. I know he refuses to let anybody on the Bears roster wear number 0. He doesn't see it as a football number, from what I gather. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know this for sure, but I don't know why. Like you say, Fitz, I was looking forward with it. We should have been looking back. You know, the alma mater of Illinois is where he got the Chicago Bears color scheme from in the first place. So it's no surprise to me that it looks exactly like an old Illini uniform.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the longer I think about it, the more and more this uniform makes sense to me. I don't know that I necessarily care for it, but I completely understand it and I embrace it as a fan of the Chicago Bears. I know there's a lot of mix in the chat. You know, PZ, very unoriginal. D. Starin wants a brighter orange.
How much brighter?
Highlighter. They want the highlighter stuff. So they wanted. You see that, but you know, I'm gonna just be honest.
Cones.
You know who ruined this, right? Like. I like the throwback jerseys. I just do. You can call me old school if you want to, or whatever the case may be. But a lot of this has been ruined by Oregon, and I blame the Oregon Ducks and Nike themselves. Right?
Wearing different uniforms for every game.
Freaking they wear uniforms that have nothing to do with their color scheme. They'll wear pink. They'll wear blue. They'll wear teal, orange. I mean, gray, whatever. It doesn't matter.
This all started with the NBA several years ago when, you know, basically when Adam Silver took over and realized monetize everything. The more jerseys a team has, the more merchandise you can sell. So make as many jerseys as you possibly can, sell the merchandise, get the revenue up. It helps the revenue sharing. It raises your cap. It raises the profits. Everybody's happy. I understand why they do it all. I think it's a brilliant marketing scheme because how many people do you know that are running out and buying these jerseys right now or, you know, looking forward to it? I think it's interesting. It's a fun gimmick. I think Color Rush was more of a fun gimmick, in my opinion, when they did the Thursday night Color Rush uniforms, even if the Bears were kind of lame. But guys, the whole division got it. Aldo's featured them for us a little bit here in our rivalry report. They're garbage. Look, the Vikings are actually kind of sick. I kind of like the Vikings.
I don't like them.
The Packers look like something from Madden Road to Glory. The Lions look like they just copied the Panthers' homework. Like, absolutely. I don't know what's going on there.
It's exactly the same as the Panthers.
It really is.
Doesn't look like it.
Not, yeah, it is the like that is actually the Detroit Panthers.
Yeah. What did Jerry Seinfeld say about Cookie Crisp? It doesn't taste like cookies. It is cookies. You know?
But yeah, just a little bit of news on these guys. You know, Tucker Kraft is coming back to practice, might be ready week 1. Oh no, they've got the 5th best tight end in the division. I'm not too worried about that. Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch probably starting the season on IR for the Lions, creating real concerns at defensive back for them. Oh no, their slammed shut Super Bowl window has just been locked. I don't know. JJ McCarthy is splitting second team reps. Splitting second team reps, though, is the main point there.
Yeah.
He might as well be the third string quarterback. Hey, props to Minnesota, man. Props to Minnesota. They pulled out Kyler Murray for comment. He couldn't reach the microphone, though, so they moved off of it.
Never gets old.
Honestly, though, sincerely, props to them for not being like the Bears and trying to make Trubisky work for 4 years. When we all saw after 2 it wasn't going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. These uniforms, each team's got their own.
The Vikings isn't bad, but I hate that. I don't like the helmet. It's like a like two-tone horn on there. That's kind of weird to me.
It's different. I don't know. It's not bad. I don't know that I like it, but it's different, and it's a good kind of different, you know? Yeah. And that's what I was hoping for with all these uniforms. You know who won these? And I didn't upload the image. Houston's new uniforms look fantastic. Go look at those if you haven't seen them.
The old Houston Oiler colors.
Yes, they look so good. Again, Detroit, this might as well be a Sam Darnold jersey that I'm wearing here.
Yep.
And have you ever seen a less intimidating quarterback, guys?
With an alabaster colored helmet on.
Oh my God. That is not alabaster. That is the color of your tighty whities after you piss yourself and try to wash it out. It's what it looks like. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one familiar with that color. Sorry, guys.
That's weird, man.
Guys, I don't have, like I said, a whole ton of news here. Mostly the Packers are getting fucking bodied by the Cardinals of all teams right now in their joint practices at Lambeau Field. They started off practice today real hot. Everybody was like, oh, it was just a fluke. Jordan Love's so hot. He's only got 2 incompletions. Only for them to get stuffed 4 consecutive times on red zone drills, which is, as we all know, where the bread and butter of these joint practices are. Cardinals, you know, from Kyle Masson on X, Cardinals are dominating the Packers to end practice during these 2-minute drills, having fun with the process, going crazy on Green Bay's home practice field. Matt Schneidman, Packers lost all 4 2-minute periods against the Cardinals. Both Packers starting and backup offenses failed to score against both Cardinals offenses scored touchdowns. And a report that Matthew Golden is dropping wide open touchdown passes against live competition. Guys, not looking good for the Packers. I remember being the Bears in these situations years ago, making every excuse under the sun. I've heard it all coming out of Green Bay this year. I genuinely think this team is in for a regression that they're not prepared for. I don't know, guys. If this season goes the way I think it will, the Bears don't need to be that good to win this division. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, then they better not have 12 one-score games then like they did last year.
I agree.
Because if you're in a one-score game, it go either way. So whether you're better than the other team or not. So they should be blowing teams out the way Ben wants them to then.
Yeah. Well, guys, hey, we can continue this conversation in the latter half of the show. I don't want to keep our guests waiting any longer. We've got Julie Sweica Gannon here joining us today. Welcome in, Julie. Fitz, if you have anything that you'd like to introduce Julie with, please do, and then we'll give the floor to Julie for a moment.
No, she is a Chicago sports legend, broadcasting legend, and I'm so excited that she could join us today. I'm so excited. I'm glad we got to do our little adventure on Saturday and talk about that. So I'm just happy that she's here, that we made this happen, and welcome, Julie. So how are you?
Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to be joining you. And Fitz, I have updates for you. First of all, tonight for dinner, I made the brisket short rib pub burgers.
Oh, awesome.
And put the burnt ends dip on top. Mind blown. Oh my God.
And you ate it before you came on the show.
Suggested it. Oh, was it good? And I put some party cheese on it when the burgers were grilling. And
love it. Okay.
Yes, so good. So yes, we had such a great time grilling and visiting Butcher on the Block. And I remembered, I'm like, oh my gosh, I still have burgers I bought. So we had those for dinner tonight. And we got to get Dan and Steve to come out and experience Butcher on the Block.
Oh, definitely. There's
mind-numbingly delicious.
Okay, that's it.
So let's run the video today, my review, and then we'll talk some more about it. How about that?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, from what I understand, Fitz and Julie took a trip out to Butcher Block and recorded a little video for us. Those of you who follow Fitz on X have already seen this. Follow him at Cheap Seats 411 for a little sneak peek before our shows every week.
Butcher on the Block. Just in the northwest of Chicago in the suburb of Lake in the Hills is one of the best Chicagoland butcher shops. Butcher on the Block at 4660 Algonquin Road has been serving the greater Chicagoland area since 2000. Steaks, chops, seafood, and dozens of varieties of sausage made in-house daily. They also have a full-service deli counter with your favorite meats, cheeses, salads, and spreads. I stopped in and tried their Butcher's French Dip Sandwich. London broiled roast beef with melted Gouda cheese on a toasted ciabatta bun with sauteed onions, secret sauce, and a side of au juice. This sandwich was full of flavor and melt in your mouth tender. I also tried the Butcher's Reuben. thinly sliced corned beef, melted Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, and homemade Thousand Island dressing served on light rye. The corned beef was tender and perfectly seasoned and was perfect with the homemade Thousand Island dressing. I also tried their taco pasta salad, the perfect sandwich side. Finally, their steakhouse potato salad. It was just the right touch with the French dip. I could spend all day in Butcher on the Block, and I see why it's been named 2025 Best of the Fox, Best Butcher. I think it's a 339 on the Fitzometer. That's Butcher on the Block at 4660 Algonquin Road in Lake in the Hills. Where should I eat next? Comment in the replies, #FitzMagicEats, and check out all of my reviews on my YouTube channel at FitzMagicShy.
Yeah, that didn't even scratch the surface of everything that's there. You go to their website, which I had listed there, and it shows like the services that they have. You can like get a half a cow if you want. So you just have all the butcher services that you can think of. They've got the deli stand with great sandwiches and and all of the sausages. My gosh, I think they say they have 80 different recipes. I think total.
Wow.
If I
And they're constantly coming up with new stuff. Like every week, it'll be, what's the brat of the week going to be? And they'll just come up with something, and it's brilliant. But yeah, if people even look on the website, they list all the varieties ever that they ever make. And if you see something that's not currently in the case, with a 3-pound order, you can custom order it. So I'm always like googly eyed, like, oh, if I'm really craving a pretzel brat, I can always order them. And they freeze really well. So I always. But yeah, we didn't even talk Fitz on any of our social media today. Cracked chicken dip, which is so addictive and funny. It's this little black container, like a to-go container, and all it is chicken, cream cheese, shredded cheese, bacon, scallions, and you throw it in your microwave for like 3 minutes. I can make dinner out of that little container. I just sit there with tortilla chips. It sounds crazy, but it is so filling, and they have it in the case all the time. So they make it there. It is so mind-numbingly like addictive. And so everyone I've ever shared that with, they say, "Oh, I'll just take a taste," and then they wind up eating half of it.
Yeah. Well, talk about the sausages we had on. Okay, Julie, you talk about play by plate, and then talk the video that we did. Did you hear me? I'm sorry. So Julie's got she hosts Play by Plate, where she does cooking videos, and for this week we grilled sausages in her backyard there. So we did the brats in the backyard. I had the Italian stallion, which was fantastic. Julie, you had the taco brat.
Mm-hmm.
And what else did we have out there?
We did a jalapeno brat. We did a beer brat. We did
the mac and cheese
tailgater brat, which is like a hot chicken brat, like buffalo sauce and chicken. Philly cheesesteak. We did that one. But yeah, the one that Fitz tried was by far my favorite, and it's probably the most popular one. It's the Italian stallion, and it's mozzarella and pepperoni, and I forget what else, spinach. But it's so flippin' good. And yeah, I've been recommending that one to a lot of people today that saw the videos and want to know what we liked the best. But Fitz has christened it the Sam Antonacci bratwurst.
Yeah. So. We add some jardiniere to it, and jardiniere makes everything better. So
of course,
so it was fantastic. Yes. So it was. I thought it was a perfect topic to do leading into the football season with tailgating and grilling. So yeah, it worked out just fine. And Julie, talk about play by plate.
Play by plate is my baby. Like 20 years ago, I decided I wanted to do a sports cooking show, and I had it in my head I was going to have athletes in the kitchen cooking with me. And John Paxson agreed to do it with me at the time. We shot the pilot, loved it, got as far as like being wined and dined by the Food Network, and they said they wanted Emerald, and I said hell no. And I took my project and went home, and I probably could have retired if I had sold it to the Food Network. But I was convinced that this was my vehicle, that I was the one person who would be able to do this show better than anyone. And, years go by and every now and then you resurrect interest in it. And finally I thought, with social media, why am I waiting for somebody to give me a platform? Why am I waiting for someone to hire me to do a show? So I just set up in my kitchen one day. I said, I'm going to record it, see where it goes. And I have done 51 episodes now. It's been almost a year. I do one every Sunday night. It usually airs. I usually publish it sometime overnight on Sunday. It might be like wee hours in the morning. But it's like a little bit of sports talk based on what's heard that week. And then I do a recipe that goes with it. And when I was putting the website together, which was hundreds of hours of compiling videos and recipe cards, I was so proud looking back on everything I'd done, partly because I had to push out of my comfort zone sometimes. I was doing something with sushi for Mooney, or, I was watching World Cup soccer and talking FIFA. So between the sports and the food, I was trying to get outside my comfort zone. And I look back on it, and I told somebody today who said, well, I don't really cook. I said, my favorite episode was when the NCAA tournament brackets came out. I did one that was sports themed or basketball themed shots. It was just me drinking shots by myself in the kitchen for like 8 minutes, and I did like 12 shots. And they were based on, I had a blue blood shot and a Cinderella story shot and a blah, blah, blah. And I had a little bracket on the dry erase board of the shots squaring off against each other. I had to keep trying them because they kept matching up differently. So it was wacky and fun. And I opened with like the NCAA tournament music, and I was dancing in my kitchen. Right? I'm dancing. And, went into the tournament brackets. And then at the end, I was doing Hamilton, not throwing away my shot. It's goofy. I mean, I seemed like I was drunk. I really wasn't. But that's what people want to watch. People can watch, food videos anywhere. They can watch sports talk anywhere. But to get somebody who's got a personality where they go, this chick is crazy, and I have to see what she's doing this week. That's what I'm trying to bring to the table. And most weeks, there's something where you like chuckle or grimace or shake your head or whatever. It's absolutely me, unfiltered, heart on my sleeve. And it's been a ride. I'm so proud of it. And so people go, it's www.officialplaybyplay.com. If you go and check it out, it has all my videos there, and it has all the recipe cards. So if you're just scrolling through and you're like, oh, she made smoked Gouda mashed potatoes, you can just pull up that recipe. So, and there's, tips from the episodes. So things that are kind of transferable. If you want to know how to substitute something, you're going to have buttermilk. How do I make buttermilk out of, regular milk? All sorts of stuff that are just kitchen tips. And then there's an About Me section. I think there will eventually be a photo gallery of like pictures of me at games eating stuff. And it's just, I encourage people to check it out. Like I said, it's just fun. They're usually between 10 and 15 minutes. So people can watch them like on their lunch break or whatever. And I love everything about combining my two passions. I have a broadcast degree from Northwestern. I have a culinary arts degree from Kendall College. This is the perfect mashup, and I'm just over the moon about it.
Awesome.
And she does it all in one take. I could not believe that. We did not
That's
break
good.
at all. You say go, and she goes.
Authentic, man. That's good though. Like people like that. It's an authentic vibe. You know what I mean? And people would gravitate towards that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's occasionally some stuff behind the scene that I have to edit out. And sometimes it's not even me. Sometimes it's my dogs are barking in the background. And a few weeks ago, I completely lost my cool at my dogs, like screaming at them, like, "Are you bleeping kidding me?" Because it's late night. I was tired. I just want to get this recorded. I'm almost at the end, and they're barking. So sometimes it's stuff beyond my control. One week I was using my little portable burner, and I ran out of propane, so I had to like stop and finish it on my stove. Little stuff that like drives me crazy, but for the most part, I was always a one-take wonder when I was in radio. If I had to record commercials and stuff, I didn't have to do 2 takes, and so I can usually get there pretty quickly. The hard part is when you're struggling to think of a name or something. Mm-hmm. This isn't like sports radio where I would have stuff in front of me. This is me in front of a camera going, oh crap, who was that guy who's pitching, for the Rangers tonight or whatever? I'm just having to wing it. And yeah, there are times where I would have to stop and be like, okay, I can't remember that name. Let's do this again.
Yeah, I was looking through some biographies on you on the internet, and I came across.
I'm sorry.
No. Chicago Sun-Times, one of the most powerful women in Chicago sports.
Nice.
I was like, oh my goodness.
Nice.
So, what was that like? Do you remember that time at all?
It's staggering when you look at the list, and the list is like Virginia McCaskey, Jeannie Ponsetto, who was the AD at all. Like, these women were the shit. And here I am. I'm like, who is a radio talk show host? But they published it, or were going to print with it, right at the time I resigned from the sport.
Right.
So I said to them, like, you should know I just gave my resignation. And they said, well, we'll put a note in there saying, like, you had, you were leaving the sport or something to that effect. But it was such an honor. It was so thrilling. And I'm so proud of it to this day. I still mention it because to say you're a powerful woman in any venue, in any business, in any endeavor is huge to me. I'm so about, like, women just, taking control of their destiny and just being everything they can be. And to just have that honor in sports is crazy, considering how many people think women shouldn't be in sports or don't know anything about sports. I have gotten into a fight with the Milwaukee Brewers fans last season. I was sitting in front of them for a Sox Brewers game, and they basically told me I don't know anything about sports.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's like waving the red flag in front of the bull. So my friend Michelle is like, we're going to go viral because we were really ready to brawl. And, I brought it down. I cooled off. But these guys told me, like, well, have you ever played baseball? I said, no, because I don't have a penis, but thanks. So, you're going to have people your entire life when you're a woman in sports telling you you don't know what you're talking about. But in all honesty, like, I know more than most of the men I know. So
yes,
that's saying something.
That's it.
Oh my gosh. And, Zim, you had the website up there just a minute.
Yeah. I decided I was going to pull it up to show it off a little bit, but
thank you.
While we're talking about sports, didn't seem like the most appropriate time to go over it.
Oh, no.
We can bring it back for a moment though with the play-by-play. This is the website. As Julie said, officialplaybyplate.com. Home videos. If you go through here, I believe there's a crossover with Fitz. All the recipes, like she mentioned, super easy to access, guys. There's just 4 tabs. A monkey could operate it. There's no excuse not to find something that you like on here, to look through it. Little more about Julie, and just guys, explore it, check it out. I don't know about you, my wife. For those of you out in the audience, my wife has been getting on me more and more about sharing the load when it comes to cooking every single week. She doesn't want to have to do every meal every week, so she's made me and the boys start helping out by preparing meals. This is a great resource for something like that. I'm already scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or whatever and bookmarking these meals that I want to make for later. If Julie can make them in one take, there's no reason we can't make them as well, right? So
that's right.
I love that you're saying that. And Steve, I encourage you. You're going to find things on there where you're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe I can make this. There's something on there that's it's chicken cups. They're like little wonton cups that you press in mini muffin tins, and then you mix like shredded rotisserie chicken, diced chilies, blah blah blah. It's so easy and so delicious. So I want people to look at it and be like, this is something I could make. I could do this. And I try and give people like ways to do it in their kitchen where they don't have to feel like they have to run out and buy a million ingredients or have certain equipment. But you'll scroll through there, Steve, and you will see things that you will feel confident in making. And I want your wife to be like, holy crap, I can't believe my husband made this. I think that is so awesome. The other thing I will say is, as you were scrolling through there, in the chef's corner section, there's a picture of me as a kid in a White Sox t-shirt. And if you go back and look at it, it's got Ribby and Rhubarb on it, who were the original White Sox mascots. So right there, the blue t-shirt is me in my Ribby and Rhubarb t-shirt. And that is also my 16th birthday when I asked my parents to take me to Jim McMahon's restaurant for my 16th birthday. So, my life goes way back. And when I saw the Ribby and Rhubarb t-shirt, I knew I had Ribby and Rhubarb dolls. I didn't remember having the t-shirt. I was like, oh, hell yeah, this has to be on there.
That's dope.
Which one didn't have the big trunk nose?
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, whatever. I had a doll. The other one, I had with the curly hair. That's the one I had as a doll. Yeah, a doll. So, Ribby or Rhubarb. I don't know which one was which, but
I have a sister, so we probably each had one, and I don't remember who had which one. But I mean, my sports roots are like going to Platteville with my family to watch the Bears practice and watching games with my dad. I'm so grateful that I had a family that took us to sporting events and took us to the theater because, we were exposed to a lot of cool things growing up, and I was allowed to pick which sports teams I liked. And I fell in love with the 83 White Sox before the 84 Cubs came along. So I became a Sox fan. And I went to Northwestern. We went to Northwestern football games when I was a kid. I went to Northwestern for my undergrad degree and have embraced the Illini at different points when I've covered them. I covered the Illini basketball team in the Final Four years ago. I've covered Northwestern Illinois football with some great games. But as a Northwesterner, you're not supposed to like the Illini, sorry to say. And I know you guys were talking about the new Bears uniforms right before you brought me on. All I keep thinking is they don't even look good enough to be a Illini uniform. Awful. They're really bad. They look like
that's a no from Julie.
They look like a JV team or something. They're awful. They're awful. You show the other division ones, and there's some really not great ones in the division, but that look a lot better than the Bears. I'm so disappointed in them. I would never waste my money on that jersey or that uniform.
I love it. That's good, man.
It might look like a JV jersey, but I mean that Packer jersey really does look like a create-a-team jersey from Madden. Like I can't get over how. Oh man, it does not look like an NFL uniform to me. It really doesn't.
I kind of like the Packers one. I mean, I like the numbers on the Packers and the Vikings uniforms. I thought they looked kind of cool, throwbacky.
Okay.
The Bears one, the little helmet in the front up here, like because it had the big H on it, it literally looked like something you'd put on like a high school captain's jersey or whatever. It just looks so cheesy and low budget.
But that's the Bears. They've always been cheesy and low budget.
Third uniforms or alternate uniforms. These are just bad.
Yeah.
They were saying that H stands for Hammond. Hammond Bears.
The Hammond Bears.
There you go. Yeah. Oh God.
Oh God, that's bad.
They should have just put that skyline right there on the patch.
Somebody said online today, the Bears have a great team this year, and all we're talking about is are they going to play in Hammond and where are they building and how bad are the uniforms and blah blah blah. And I get it. Whoever said it, it's so true. We should be focused on the fact that we have Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams coming back, reunited, and hopefully another great season. But there's just it's the Bears. It's Chicago sports. There's always so much that distracts that has nothing to do with the product on the field.
In all reality, I am so glad that we have these uniforms and the Madden cover and incompletions during training camp and the Hammond Bears to talk about, because we have been so mistreated and so abused for so long that we would probably be otherwise debating if Ben Johnson is a one-year wonder in Chicago and the next Matt Nagy. And God forbid we put those two in the same conversation together. Or, and think about the conversations we'd be having otherwise, because we don't know better as a fan base we've never seen differently, you know, at
Yep.
least not in my lifetime, you know. And here
Well,
I
look at
am
that.
raising children now. Like, so that's what we have as a fan base now.
Look at preseason
Loves
game
to
2.
put to rest this season the stupid stat about the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard pass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please, get rid of this. I don't want to see it anymore. Just like we didn't want to see the graphics about how many quarterbacks the Bears have gone through while the Packers had one guy or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see the lack of a 4,000-yard passer anymore. They're just
4,200 yards this year.
of as being like, you know, a joke or a doormat or whatever. And I love the parallels between the White Sox and the Bears being like a last first team and
Mhm.
being disrespected to suddenly being a division contender. Like, I just feel like maybe Chicago sports are finally hitting a stride where we can be proud of our town sports teams across the board and not feel like, you know, literally the second city. I would love it if this was just a renaissance year across the board where every Chicago team makes the playoffs. Everybody's team is somebody to brag about. That would be outstanding.
Yeah, it would. It would.
Well, there's a lot of good things to talk about. I mean, especially with the changeover with the Bulls. You got
Mhm.
Kaner coming back to the Blackhawks. So there's a lot of positive things. So it can all line up.
Yeah.
I mean, and Julie, you're absolutely right with the parallels between the Sox and the Bears. The longer I think about it, the more I realize that Murakami is their Caleb Williams. You know, the guy that obviously was such a great prospect that everybody second guesses coming into the league. And then, of course, he's still great. Why wouldn't he still be great? He's now motivating the team. He's carrying them. He's becoming a leader. Nobody knows if he's going to be here long term. He'll probably be on the cover of the show next year. And the Sox will lock him up to a long term deal because Ishbia is not a bonehead like the previous owner.
Wait a
So-
second. Let's pump the brakes. I mean, I've endured a lot of Sox talk right now. You know what I mean? But Caleb Williams' favorite baseball player is residing on the north side with as Pete Crow Armstrong. You
Yeah,
know
we
what
don't
I mean?
talk about that. That's fine.
Well, I mean, the Pope's favorite team resides on the south side. So
That's right. That's right.
mic drop. We'll always
That's it. That's it. Hey, shout out Julie too. I see the backdrop there. It looks like you got bobbleheads and figurines and everything there, right? That's pretty dope. You got a baseball in there and everything.
That is that's mostly because my husband has 400 bobbleheads.
Wow.
So I'm not lying, our basement has a bobblehead room, which is off that way. It is
Awesome.
shelf after shelf of bobbleheads. There's signed NFL helmets, there's signed NBA basketballs, there's crazy amounts of sports memorabilia. But behind us, and okay, so Dan, you'll appreciate this. The top two shelves are Cubs items. I have the bottom shelf. That's the only like White Sox shelf in the entire sports basement is that bottom shelf there, and I have to cram everything in. And you know, we have the same number of World Series in our lifetime in this house.
That's true.
But
That's
yeah,
true.
it's a predominantly Cubs baseball basement. You know, there's Ryan Sandberg jerseys, Kerry Wood jerseys, and things like that. But I am fighting that you know, maybe I can make some inroads, maybe squeak in a few things here and there. And we serve Cubs and Sox wines, charity wines, at our wedding. So
Oh, really?
Cubs Sox wedding reception, we serve Merlot and Cabernet, and Derek Lee's Cabernet is up there, and it is signed. So Mark Burley not signing anything means I have an unsigned Merlot wine bottle. Very sad.
Oh. That's all right. That's all right. That's awesome though. That's nice. I like that.
Thank you. It's pretty cool.
So besides the website, where can we find you? You're all over social media, aren't you?
I am, and I'm especially active on Twitter of all of them. I'm a little late to the party on TikTok and Instagram. I'm good at those. On social media, I'm either at Julie Sweica or at SportsPal324. Depends which one you're on. If you look up those, you're going to find me as one of the two of them. I'm working on becoming more Instagram savvy because I find that a lot of the athletes tend to post things.
Yes.
I'm trying to be better at that. But I'm a big Twitter nerd, and I do spend a lot of time when I'm watching games on Twitter, whether it's the Bears, Cubs, Sox, whatever. I'm watching to see what everybody else's reactions are. I'm looking for injury updates. And that's where Fitz and I first became friends, White Sox Twitter. So
That's right.
I'm so grateful that there's so many cool sports avenues for people to be able to share their views. I will say that if I were still doing a full-time sports radio show in this modern era of social media, I would probably be in tears once a week because there's so much opportunity for people to rip you a new one. And back then, when I was doing my talk show, I had like faxes, calling you names or whatever. I didn't have a text line. I didn't have all the social media. So I did have people that would leave me voicemails, and I did have faxes coming in. I told this story to someone recently. I was sitting at the score update desk the day Michael Jordan sent the fax, "I'm back." I was actually sitting there waiting for the fax to come across. It was like something out of Jerry Maguire when they're waiting for the offer sheet. That's how I was. I was sitting there just like, "Come on, Michael, come on, just tell us you're back." And so, it's old school, but I love that it wasn't like, oh, all these different social media people are reporting something. It was just waiting for that fax to come through. It was old school, but it was cool as hell.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you about that because where you were back then in 90s and 2000s as to where it is now. I remember sending faxes into the score, and Mike North actually read
the
one.
That said I was a dumb broad. Come on.
No, I'm sorry.
Hate mail from Fitz.
No, I sent one in, and Mike North actually read it, and I got the biggest. I was like on cloud nine. I was like, yeah.
Hate mail from Fitz. What would that even sound like?
Hashtag it. Everybody hashtag that. Hate mail from Fitz.
Hate mail from Fitz. I feel like that letter would just be like, "I bet you burn your meatloaf." Like that would be the whole like.
That's about as rough as I'll get. No, but I think I sent him. I sent it a fax. It was during the 1995 Eastern semifinals between the Bulls and Orlando. It was that year Jordan came back, and Jordan switched uniforms during that. He was 45. Nick Anderson said 45 is not 23, so he went to 23. Yep. So when they were coming back to Chicago, they had a day off. So that all the talk was, well, what number is he going to wear? So that's what people were sending to the score. So I sent in what I thought he was going to wear, and it was his Johnny Kilroy jersey. Remember the Nike commercial with Kilroy?
Yeah.
It was like number 7, and a Jim McMahon headband that said Stern on it. For David Stern. And it actually got a chuckle out of Mike North and Dan Jiggets. And it was
nice.
It's like, yes, they laughed. So that was
that's awesome.
Was a fax to the score in 1995.
Wow. That's what's
there were so many things I experienced in my 10 years at the score that I could write a book. I really could. I was on the air the night of the Bartman Cubs game. And my show was 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. every night. And Dan, if you had heard some of those callers I had that night, I mean, it was violent. It was nasty. And I'm just trying to talk everybody down. And, I'm trying to point out that, Alex Gonzalez didn't have a great game either. And what about the pitching falling apart? And I just had like the torch wielding mob who wanted this guy dead. And it was, I got up there and I was kind of shaken up. I was like, wow, that was really vitriolic and evil. And I get it. We're fans because it comes from fanatics. We're passionate about our sports teams. And that night, it's like the floodgates open and I was there to take in all the people who are angry. So, I mean, there were nights where I had reactions after games that were awesome. I know there was a game Antonio Alfonseca blew where I had a lot of people calling up screaming about something. But that Bartman night was unreal. I was also out at the ballpark as a reporter the night Sammy got caught with a bat.
Oh,
I was on shows until 3 in the morning, appearing around the TV with people who wanted me to come on and getting caught with a cork bat. So there was the immediacy and the quick reaction and that pinch yourself kind of moment that you can't believe you're covering something in sports that is so historic, good or bad.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You know, it's similar like on Twitter sometimes or X now they call it, right? Of course.
It's still Twitter.
They have those spaces, and we would do a space after football games, after the Bears games, and if it's a loss, if something goes wrong, I mean, the amount that, you know what I mean, the people that come is unbelievable. Number one, and they will talk. I've been on there and the game is ended at like 4 in the afternoon, right? And I'm sitting there like, hey, I got to get off. Hey, one more thing. Let me say this. Let me say that. And they're just shooting. Even if there's a second preseason game, look at Twitter, go back and look at it. And there were people like, fire Dennis Allen. He sucks. Blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, it's a preseason game. Like, calm down, people.
That's
but
crazy.
Hey, we're short for fans and short for left fanatics, like you said.
Yep.
Oh, Mailman Jack wants some dirt on Murph. Do you got any on Murph? Mike Murphy? Oh my gosh.
I produced Murph's show. A lot of score producers did. That was one of my first roles there. You know, there were times I will give Murph credit. Murph gave his producers a chance to come on the air. If you had something to contribute, you could open up a microphone, you could jump in and talk. And that was a great way for me to kind of get my feet wet. You know, were there times that Murph was intimidating? Hell yeah. But all the score hosts had those moments where you're like, oh, please don't let so-and-so lose their temper and pull a cart machine out of the wall. Which people don't know. Cart machine was kind of like an 8-track machine. It was this little, you put the commercials in and played them on a cart machine. You played sound drops. And there were score hosts that, you know, broke them as they lost their temper and threw them across the room. So, but I mean, it was like working in a sports talk frat house. Like, it was just a bunch of guys, you know, and I consider myself one of the guys who were just like talking sports and you know, talking about let's go out and have a beer after the game or whatever. It was very laid back. It was very like a family atmosphere and families fight. And yes, there were screaming fights in the hallway on a weekly basis. But I can't imagine being in a different environment. I know it's a lot more corporate now, but the way we were back then, it was family owned. It was very down to earth. If people don't remember, the score when it first came on the air was from dawn till dusk.
Yes.
So they had this little like owl sound effect. It was like, whoop, as the score came on the air, and it was like, woo, and you heard the little like owls making noises. And you literally had to go, if you were the last producer working on it, you had to go and power down the transmitter. It was this huge transmitter tower on the northwest side of Chicago that you had to power down.
On Belmont Avenue.
If you were covering a Bulls game that night, you had to call your sound bites into an answering machine. And somebody would cut them up off the answering machine in the morning. It was so grassroots and so weird and crazy and so not high tech. But like, I have no regrets about that. I still tell the story about I was working the Thanksgiving where Barry Sanders went off on the Bears. Mm-hmm. You guys have to remember this. I think he ran for like 5 touchdowns or something. I had to cut highlights. I had to cut Bears highlights when I was producing that day. And I was sitting cutting Barry Sanders highlights all flipping turkey day. So it was
no
crazy.
Bears highlights.
It was very like I said, it was grassroots. It was so, I don't know what the opposite of bougie is, but that's what the score was. We were anti-bougie. Like, there was a production closet, and it was literally like a whole closet we went into to cut tape. It was just, but I love the people I worked with. I still keep in touch with a lot of the score producers. We put our teeth together, and I look at the people who were behind the scenes, and they went on to be people like Jesse Rogers, who was producing Jiggets and North and is now an on-air personality who does national stuff, talking about baseball for ESPN. It was such a good group of people, and I love seeing, you know, where people's paths have taken them. And I love when I reconnect with them on Twitter or wherever else.
I remember listening. I was working in a warehouse in the mid-'90s, and it'd be about in January, December, they'd be in the middle of a great conversation at about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And you hear, oh, well, we got to go. Sorry, see you tomorrow. It was like just gone. It was done. It's like when it was time to go, it was over because the sun went down.
Well, hey, speaking of which, I'm going to pull a complete left turn here. It's about time for our pop culture segment. Julie, it's been awesome having you on. Are you wanting to stick around and talk some pop culture with us, or do you have to get going or anything?
Pop culture is speaking my language. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I think the topics were made pretty easy for us this week, whether we wanted them to be or not. I mean, personally, I really didn't want to have to discuss either of these topics. But all things come to an end, and unfortunately, Dolly Parton passed away yesterday, 2 days ago at this point. I don't even know what day of the week it is, but Dolly Parton passed away. Here is an honor that New York City did for her with the Empire State Building, lighting it up in a glittering, glowing pink. One of the greatest humans maybe to ever live. Not just an entertainer, not just a pop culture icon, but genuinely an amazing person, a true rags to riches story. Nobody who I can think of better to embody the American dream, and maybe the last person to ever live it the way that she did too. To go from a one-room cabin with something like 11 siblings, if I remember correctly, and to become a multimillionaire, would have been a billionaire had she not been such a philanthropist, giving so much and providing so much value to society as a way of giving back to the people who made her who she is. And that's something that I don't know that we'll ever see again, that I think is truly worth recognizing. But in addition, just the impact that she made on music and society as a whole through what she was able to communicate with her voice. I do a music segment each week on this show, and I'm forgoing it this week because it just doesn't feel right to talk about anything other than Dolly Parton through this. A woman who not only made her own voice shine so bright and stand so clearly in an era where it was not easy for women to do that, but to continue that and to continue to loan her voice to others and to build up other women all the way to the modern era where we see women like Miley Cyrus and Sabrina Carpenter, two of the largest pop culture influencers in the world, who were directly influenced and assisted by Dolly Parton. And the countless others along the way. Those are just the two most recent examples, in my opinion. But I'll turn it over to the rest of you with anything that you have to say about Dolly Parton. I know that Mike North will be eulogizing her on his show. Somebody big just died. I don't know if they have a time or date set for that. I honestly would have expected it to be before this show tonight, but I know that schedules are a bitch and a half. So, anything that y'all have to say or anything that y'all would like to contribute to the conversation, just generally about Dolly and her influence on the world.
Yeah, when I heard about it, when I'm at work, I'm kind of by myself all day, and I walk around and I get songs in my head, and it kind of just like it plays all day, all 10 hours. And the song that kept popping up from Dolly Parton was "Coat of Many Colors." I don't know if you know that one, but it's a very simple song that she's talking about her life growing up in this article of clothing that was made for her, and just the song itself is very simple. It doesn't go the notes wise, it doesn't go very high, very low. It's just, and it kind of just stays there. And to me, that kind of brought out, could make something so simple sound so extraordinary. And I think the best way to, an even better way to make an example of that is the song "I'll Always Love You." You have her version, the original, and then you have Whitney Houston's. Both tremendous performances. Whitney was a powerhouse, and she's singing this song in her movie The Bodyguard. She's this traveling superstar who loves found that person that she loves but can't be with them, but she's all over the world, and she has to just belt this song from the mountaintops. Whereas Dolly's version, it's like she's whispering into that person's ear that she's never going to see again. It's so simple. It's like that one song is both simple and extraordinary at the same time. It was just the way Dolly could take something so simple and make it so extraordinary. So those are my 2 cents on Dolly.
And she wrote it for her mentor. So, we think of it more as like a romantic ballad kind of thing, but she wrote it from a place of just pure love for this person who had mentored her. And I think you're right. When you contrast the 2 different versions, they're both beautiful in different ways. I saw a clip of one where she sang it with Miley Cyrus. And Steve, you mentioned Miley. That's actually Dolly's godchild. And so she influenced her in more ways than one, both as a music icon, but as a personal connection for Miley. One of the things I was blown away by watching so many of the clips is how versatile she was. The fact that she rapped, she sang rock. She could transition to be like that chameleon depending on who she was around. I loved when you saw the clip from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction where all these other music icons, Jolene with her. And I have goosebumps because I'm thinking about it right now. One of them was the guy from Judas Priest. Yep. Like, this is how she just bridged so many different types of music. And she was funny as hell. It's a clip where she did the top 10 Dolly Parton pet peeves on David Letterman. Flippin' hilarious. If you haven't seen it, Google it, look it up. She had such a charming and endearing sense of humor. She could poke fun of herself. And my favorite songs, when I think of Dolly Parton, my favorite Christmas album of all time is the Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton Christmas album. And my family loved it so much. We put it on every year when we decorated the tree. And when my mom made videos for us, all your videos from when you're a kid are on the projector reels, you have to transfer them to DVDs. My mom used Kenny and Dolly's Christmas music for our Christmas DVDs that she made. And I will forever think of hearing her sing Christmas carols as part of our family's holiday tradition. And just so googly-eyed watching so many fun videos of her today and wishing I'd appreciated her a little more while we still had her here. But going back to what Steve said, that she was philanthropic, that she gave back to Tennessee, that she helped kids have access to books and reading, and just, you're right. I don't think we will see another music celebrity like that ever again. Yeah,
it's amazing. And both of you have spoke on it a little bit. You know what I mean? The ability to transcend, a lot of times when you talk about musicians and things like that and the longevity that they have, they transcend time, right? But she was able to also transcend between different genres and bring other people into different genres. And you know what I mean? No matter who you are, you know who that was, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like it's a difference, and you're talking about, different races, different genres of music, different, styles of music and all of that type of stuff. There's a transcendence there. Not only the longevity of it and how long she actually was a performer and doing different things, but also just the ability to reach a broad spectrum of people. You know what I mean? Just so many different people from so many different backgrounds and things like that. That to me is impressive. I've always been a person who enjoys people who kind of adapt and are able to kind of reach different audiences and things like that. And she was able to do that. So you got to give her credit for that and say, hey, hats off to you for that, Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things to say and so many things that can be done. And I encourage everybody to look around. She's got many books about her, both written by her and by others. There's all kinds of things that you can look to for anecdotes and for her musical reach, touching all kinds of different places. One of my favorite stories that I read in the last couple of days was about the song that she did with Sabrina Carpenter, Please, Please, Please. She convinced Sabrina not to drop an F-bomb in the song because it would limit the people who might listen to it. And then encouraged her in the music video to throw an abusive man in the back of her truck and drop him in the middle of nowhere, which just goes to show that life lessons can be taught in so many different ways. I don't know. It's just one of those stories that really showed the duality that was Dolly, and how she embraced so many different ideals and was uniquely her. And again, the way that she influenced so many other people all across the world. And my favorite thing that I've stumbled across in all these stories is her final gift is something that we won't even know about for another 19 and a half years. She recorded her final song and then locked it up in a box at Dollywood, and it is not to be opened or played until her birthday, her 100th birthday, excuse me, which will be January 9th, 2046. So
Wow.
in another 20 years, we will get a brand new, never before heard Dolly Parton song. And
Wow.
that's her final gift to all of us. And if that doesn't summarize just what an incredible human and an incredible life she lived, I don't know what does. Lastly, one of the thoughts that I also saw is that she is unequivocally on the Mount Rushmore of universally beloved people from the last 100 years. You can argue a few of the spots, but she is almost certainly in the George Washington spot, right front and for everybody to see on that Mount Rushmore. Moving on to some other news that is no less tragic. Tim Curry also passed away late last night. More divisiveness than I expected, because for my generation, myself being more or less a younger millennial, Tim Curry is an icon. He's a legend. He is somebody we all know from both his stage performances and his screen performances. Not so much his musical performances, but Tim Curry we grew up watching in so many different ways, whether it was Clue or It, or as Captain Hook, or It was the one that
Home
stuck with
Alone?
me. And I said It, and I can't get it out of my head because it tortured me as a child. Yes, Home Alone was
Annie?
a good one.
Annie?
There's another big one that I'm completely forgetting.
Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror. Thank you, Fitz. Oh my God. Rocky Horror. That one sticks in my head for whole other reasons. Fun fact, the first time I ever saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show was actually at a midnight showing. I think maybe my sister and my dad watched it. I'm the youngest in my family, out of all of my cousins and everybody, and there's a whole bunch of us. So somebody probably watched it somewhere along the line. But the first real memory I have of watching Rocky Horror was at a midnight showing at a small theater in Denver. And we all know how those showings go. And I had no idea what to expect. Some friends of mine were just like, "Hey, we're going to Rocky Horror tonight. You want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, what the hell? I got nothing going on." And we go and we find our seats. And the very first thing that happens is one of my friends immediately strips down to a gold pair of underwear. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, do you not, never mind, you'll see. And just, I don't know, man. Again, Tim Curry was a massive legend to me, and not to some other generations before me. I'm not totally sure. But yeah, if you guys have a favorite film of his, or a favorite performer that or a favorite performance that he's done, I'd love to hear about that.
That's the thing about Curry was, like Dolly, he could do so many different things. He could be a lead character, and he could be somebody like, he was in Hunt for Red October, I think, too.
He was.
Yeah.
Did a great job with the few minutes he was on the screen. I also remember him from an episode of Criminal Minds where he played the bad guy, and it was really creepy. And I think just like his versatility again, his way to just do whatever was asked of him to the best that he could do is just to me what stood out about him. But yeah, I mean, Clue, Home Alone, you mentioned that one, Danikin, Home Alone 2. He was great. Yeah, another one we're going to sorely miss.
Absolutely. Same thing. I mean, you know what I mean? Just the ability to do a couple of different things. And, you know, whether it doesn't matter what type of movie you liked, you know what I mean? He was in something that you've probably seen at some point in time. So, you know, once again, you know, just the longevity of it and the ability to, you know, just do different things, man. It's a talent that a lot of people you don't just have that, you know, you don't develop that. You kind of have that naturally almost. And he obviously had that. So, you know, big up to him too, for sure.
And yeah, I mean, Clue is one that came to mind because, you know, that was from when I was a kid, and you didn't appreciate at the time how he managed a cast of amazing superstars.
Yes.
I mean, when you look at the cast list from the other people who appeared in that movie, and he was the glue. He was the guy who kept everything running so smoothly. And then I saw Carol Burnett had mentioned today how, you know, how fortunate she was to have worked with him. And I thought about it for a second. I'm like, Carol Burnett, oh, Annie, and I completely had forgotten about the Easy Street scene.
Yes.
Carol Burnett, and I think it was Bernadette Peters and Curry. And those are like movies I saw when I was young. I don't think I could have subjected myself to it. So, Steve, you can be scared on my behalf. That's something I probably would have had nightmares for weeks. But when you know you're talking about Danikin, how you know the reach, the breadth of his contribution, that he could do so many different things so well. So yeah, a lot of it took me back to movies from my childhood, and just I will forever like picture his face. You know, he kind of had the bug-eyed and just expressive and I hate, you know, we talk about deaths coming in threes, and these two, the news was breaking within like 12 hours of each other, of losing Dolly and losing Tim Curry. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, what's the third tree that's going to fall? But then I was thinking, is it Hayden Panettiere who passed away a few days ago? And I thought, what a bad week for Hollywood and entertainment, and just, you know, some big names where you're kind of blown away thinking that these people are taken from us.
And unfortunately, it's just going to keep going because of the culture that we've created around Hollywood and celebrity icons and things like that, because we're getting to a point where a lot of these people that were these superstars, you know, they're now at this age where unfortunately that's just what happens. And as tragic as it is, we can still look back at them and say they've lived these full, happy lives and brought joy to so many people. And it's no longer, not to try to compare it to one another, but Kobe Bryant dying as young as he did was so tragic and so sudden and so devastating for so many people, to the fact where myself, who I never really saw as a Kobe fan, I was paralyzed on the couch for several hours the day that I got the news, because it was a genuine tragedy. And now seeing people like Dolly Parton and Tim Curry pass away, as unfortunate as it is, we get to look at them and say they were both 80 years old. They both lived these lives that they got to do so much and spread so much and be so much to so many people. It is still unfortunate and it is still so sad, but I'm so thankful that they got to be around as long as they were. And for me to be able to have the opinion that I did of Tim Curry, to say my generation views him, I feel like, as a legend among Hollywood greats, whereas I feel like somebody, you know, born 30 years earlier might just view him as the quirky guy from the cult classics and things like that. And for him to have such a wide-ranging reach is a beautiful thing, and that's what makes life so fragile and so worth experiencing.
For sure.
You know, not to get so dark and so deep on this show, but this is Bare Their Souls after all, and this is
that's what we do.
This is probably the deepest show we've had on our current iteration, and it's unfortunate that this is what led up to it, but I don't know.
Talking through these things helps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What we do. This is what we're here for.
for sure.
that's it. It's all a part of it, and at the end of the day, I mean, Green Bay still sucks, and that's a fact that's just never going to change. So, I don't know. I got to deflect somehow, guys. I just,
Yeah.
to be completely honest with you, like I know a lot of people from my world, you know, being a musician, being on stage as much as I was in my teen years, you know, I don't think it would surprise anybody to say that as part of my generation, I've been ingrained in the LGBTQ community. And these are two people that greatly affected a lot of people that surround me through all of these different communities that I've interacted with in my life. And it's just, you know, you feel for the people who feel it more than you as well as an empathic person, you know?
I'm an empath too, right there with you. And you mentioned the Green Bay sucks thing, and I don't know how this has taken over every sporting event now. Like, I get it. It was really funny when the Cubs and Sox were playing the first time and everybody united in their common enemy, Green Bay. And it was hilarious. And now every time I hear it, I'm like, give it a rest. I'm also going to throw this out to you, especially because, Steve, you're a music guy. This has been driving me crazy for a while. I've not shared this in any venue, in any other podcast or any sort of webinar or any tweet or anything. I am so flippin' sick of the Seven Nation Army song. It makes my skin crawl. And they play it. You'll start noticing now that I'm saying it, you will notice how many times you hear it during a baseball game. It's mind-boggling. I can't even understand how every stadium in America has nothing else that they can play 20 times a game besides dun 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 dun. Dun. Makes my skin crawl. And it's not just a bad song. You will see how it is infiltrated stadia in America. And Steve, I may have just ruined this song for you.
No,
but it just makes me.
I hear it. That song. So I started. My first instrument was the bass, like the upright stand-up contrabass in the orchestra, and I soon transitioned to the electric bass. I've got a couple of them back in the corner over here, and that song came out the year that I started learning to play the electric bass. And I played it like 4 times and I was like, this is stupid, and never wanted to play it again, only for it to continue to haunt me for another 22 years. So yeah, no, I hear it every time it comes on. One of the things that I love, and listen for this next time you guys are watching it, you know, you say that it's played so much in stadium. Well, out of stadium, something that I love that NBC in particular does is during Sunday Night Football, they try to play music from bands or artists that are in the area of the home team. And I don't know if a lot of people notice that, but it's super cool when I listen to like underground, you know, I don't want to say underground necessarily, but lesser known bands. I don't have their flag up anymore. I took it to work. But like one of my favorite bands, Real Friends, is from the Tinley Park area. And during Bears games, I'll regularly hear the intro to some of their songs as transitions on and off Monday Night Football, or Sunday Night Football, excuse me. And it's this fun little Easter egg if you know what you're listening for. So next time you see a Bears Sunday night game, I challenge you to listen and to see if you notice. I promise they're going to play Fall Out Boy. They're probably going to play Real Friends. They'll probably play Chance the Rapper. They'll probably play Common if they're getting real deep.
Linkin Park.
But again, they kind of tend to play Chicago area stuff. Knuckle Puck is another like smaller pop punk band that's starting to come up a lot more. They actually played at a White Sox game earlier this year, which mind blowing for me. That's one of my favorite bands playing at my favorite team's stadium. It was so cool, but I was kind of really mad that I couldn't go actually. But yeah, just like a fun little teaser. Like I say, if you're watching the Sunday night games, pay attention. You know, like I say, for New York games, you'll hear New York bands. For Philadelphia, you'll hear Philadelphia bands, so on and so forth.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's my fun fact of the evening, I guess, or my third or fourth fun fact of the evening. Hey, you want another fun fact? Tristan Peters hit another home run tonight. That's five
in a row.
5 straight games for the Savannah Banana hitting home runs, man. That's crazy.
Nuts.
Nana Bonds continues. That was my pick to click tonight, so I feel really good about that.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
Hang on, I got to pull this one up. I just found a meme on Twitter. I got to share with you guys because Tristan Peters hitting all these home runs is absolutely bananas for the former Bananas. This shit is bananas.
Love it.
Guys, it's been an awesome show. Anybody else have any last minute thoughts on Tim Curry, Dolly Parton, general Bears thoughts, hating Green Bay, loving the White Sox? Danikin, if you really want to talk about the Cubs, I mean, I'll give you like 40 seconds or so. I don't know, guys. It felt like a pretty great show. So if you've got anything else you want to top off, I'll let it go around the horn. Fitz, go ahead.
Oh, nope. Shout out to Julie for coming on. Thanks for coming on. And thanks for your hospitality this weekend. And hope to get back up to Butcher on the Block. Those people were great too. The service, we didn't talk enough about the service. The service there is great as well. So they've got knowledgeable people behind the counter if you're ever up there. There's a little trek coming from the South Burbs up there. It's like over 60 miles. And so, but it was well worth it. And no, it was a lot of fun, and hope to do more different things like that in the future. So thank you, Julie.
You're welcome. It was awesome having you out my way. What's really cool is seeing how many people have responded to your video from today saying, oh my gosh, I live in that area. And I'm like,
Right.
all these people live near me. This is so cool. 'Cause, I'm kind of out in the sticks. But it's been really fun seeing everybody's responses to your video today. And I'm happy to share my love of food places anytime. So that was really cool. I loved having you to check out here. I mean, even my dogs love it, so it's all good. I very much appreciate getting to be on with you guys tonight and getting to talk about not just sports and pop culture, but also about my new website. So I'm very appreciative of that. And if I had any Cubs thoughts for you, Danikin, it would be, man, how close was PCA to getting knocked out today for a balk on a catcher that didn't get called? Yeah. That was like the weirdest thing I've seen in a long time. Yeah. So there was Cubs stuff to talk about today. That's the beauty of Chicago sports. Something every day to talk about, and I just love it.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's 4 people that missed that call, and that really pissed me off too. But I'm not gonna, I digress. It's four of them. All 4 of them missed the call. But it is what it is. Shout out to you guys.
When he was trying to talk to me, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I was watching it, going like, but he didn't get tossed, so he didn't say anything bad.
Yeah, they couldn't throw him out because they knew they messed that call up. But
yeah, exactly.
But shout out to you guys. I appreciate it. This was a great show, man. I enjoyed it. Thank you for coming on, Julie. We loved having you. It was awesome. The food review that Fitz did was outstanding. I'm a little bit upset that I ate earlier because I'm now hungry again. And thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. You jerk. But no, I'm just joking.
Awesome. Well, guys, hey, shout outs to everybody in the chat room. You guys make this all interesting. I know, it's like the second or third week in a row we didn't get a whole lot of you guys on screen. We really, I think, need to set aside one in the future just for the chat room because you guys are such an integral part of this show. You really make this whole thing work. We would have no reason to do this show without the people out there watching, listening, watching live, commenting. We absolutely love having you out here. Again, it makes the whole thing worthwhile. It's so much fun. A big shout out to my 3 wonderful co-hosts tonight. Julie, thank you so much for joining us. I think I speak for all of us when I say if you ever want to come back, just reach out. And if you don't, we probably will. So
yeah,
awesome.
Sure.
I absolutely love to hear that. It's so much fun having new guests on all the time, but I love bringing guests back that, really share our energy and our love. And just our vibes, we're here eating some food, occasionally having some drinks, talking some sports, and then going the heck to bed when we're done here. I don't know about these guys. I think all of us pretty much wrap this thing up and go to bed, though.
Yeah. 5 o'clock comes pretty quick.
That's exactly it. So I won't drag this out much longer. You know, last notes here. I know we talked at length about Tim Curry and Dolly Parton, but truly two great people that are going to be missed by so many. Look out for Mike's show on Dolly Parton. It will be here on the network. If you're looking for any other Bears content here on the network, well, you can always follow us on X, the site formerly known as Twitter. We are at Bear Their Souls. That's Souls spelled with a Z. You can find Kyler Murray somewhere underneath the
podium.
I don't know. He's probably in some pads somewhere. Who knows? You can also find the newest episode of the Monsters of the Barroom, Aldo Gandia's latest brainchild brought to the Barroom Network, where he takes regular fans off of Twitter or YouTube or the comment section or wherever he finds these people. I don't know. Brings them on the air, has genuine, great conversations about the Chicago Bears, gets the general sentiment from the fan base, from the people who are watching the games, just like you and me. And gives you all a platform, just like we've got here, to talk about all of this, to let it all out, to let your thoughts be heard, and to get feedback on it, just like the way you all in the chat room do with us. Last things, if you haven't liked it, please drop us a like, please drop us a follow. You know where to find us every week here on YouTube. If you listen to us elsewhere, you know, I'm pretty sure we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. But hey, I think I've babbled on long enough. Everybody, have a great week. Go Bears. We're going to watch that final third preseason game. We'll be talking next week all about these cut downs. We're going to have some conversations about the defense. Absolutely some stuff to talk about there. And hey, I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of... yeah, we're going to fire Dennis Allen between now and then. That's right. Tune in next week to find out if that prediction's true or not. All right, guys, I'm wrapping it up. I've babbled on long enough. Go Bears, bear down. Rest in peace, Dolly and Tim. Have a great night, everybody.
Night.
Thanks, guys.
There's a party over here and a party over there. All my Bears fans, let's get your Bears.